I always thought betrayal would feel like a gunshot, sharp, sudden, unmistakable. Instead, it slid in like a knife through butter, so smooth I almost missed it. "I think we both know this isn't working anymore," Jonathan said, stirring his coffee with mechanical precision, 3 turns clockwise, like every morning for the past 12 years. "I've met someone else, Cadence, from the marketing department." The breakfast nook in our penthouse apartment suddenly felt very small. Outside, Seattle's morning fog pressed against the windows like a shroud. "My name is Scarlett, and I built a tech empire from nothing but caffeine and code. I've faced down venture capitalists, weathered market crashes, and turned a startup in my garage into a billion-dollar company. But nothing prepared me for this moment." "How long?" I kept my voice steady, took a sip of my own coffee. Still hot, still bitter. 6 months." He wouldn't meet my eyes. "But that's not all we need to discuss. The company—" "Our company?" I arched an eyebrow. "The board agrees we need fresh leadership, someone with a different vision." His words carried the rehearsed quality of a pitch deck. "You've been distracted lately, unfocused. Everyone's noticed." My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Hayden. "Mum and Dad want to have dinner tonight. Important family meeting." Of course, the vultures were already circling. "I see." I set down my cup without a sound. "And I suppose you've already discussed this vision with the board?" Jonathan's smile flickered. "It's better for everyone this way. You can focus on yourself, maybe start that garden you always talked about." I had never once mentioned wanting a garden. "Does Cadence garden?" I asked innocently. He flinched. "Don't make this difficult, Scarlett. The paperwork's already being drawn up. The transition will be smooth if you cooperate." Another buzz. My mother this time. "Darling, we're worried about you. Your father thinks Jonathan's offer is very generous." The corner of my mouth twitched. They didn't even wait an hour before showing their cards. "I built that company from scratch," I said quietly. "While you were still managing a chain of coffee shops, remember?" "We built it together," he snapped. "I was there every step." "You joined 3 years in, after the second round of funding." I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "When we already had market validation." "The board meeting is Monday." He pushed back his chair. "Don't embarrass yourself by fighting this. Think about your reputation, your family." I walked to the window, watching the fog start to lift. Behind me, Jonathan gathered his keys, his laptop bag. Playing house was over. "One question," I said as his hand touched the doorknob. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice the unauthorized wire transfers, the late-night board calls, Cadence's sudden promotion to Director of Strategy?" He froze. "Or maybe," I continued, turning to face him, "you thought I was too busy to see my own mother updating her will to give you proxy control of her shares. That was clever, by the way, getting the family involved." The colour drained from his face. "How did you—" "I built an empire on data analytics, Jonathan. Did you really think I wouldn't analyse my own?" "Whatever you think you know, I know everything." I smiled, the same smile I used closing million-dollar deals. "I've known for weeks. I just wanted to see how far you'd go, how many knives my own blood would stick in my back." He fumbled for the door handle. "The board will be very interested in Monday's meeting. I promise you that." After he left, I pulled out my phone and dialed a familiar number. "Fletcher, it's time. Execute Protocol Ghost." I ended the call and looked at my reflection in the window. The woman staring back wasn't the same one who'd married Jonathan 12 years ago. She was harder, sharper. They wanted a war, fine. But they'd forgotten something crucial. I didn't build an empire by playing nice. I'd built it by being 3 steps ahead. 3 weeks earlier, I'd watched through the glass walls of my office as Jonathan guided Cadence through our executive floor. His hand rested just a bit too low on her back. She laughed just a bit too loudly at his jokes. "The quarterly projections," Edmund said, sliding a tablet across my desk. My COO's expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes told a different story. "You'll want to look at page 17. I scrolled through until I found it. A series of minor transfers, each just under the threshold, requiring executive approval. Clever, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. How long has this been happening? 3 months, always to the same holding company. Edmund leaned forward. A holding company registered to your sister Hayden. The betrayal burned worse than battery acid. That evening, my parents hosted a casual family dinner. Nothing casual about the way they'd arranged the seating, Jonathan at the head of the table, my father's spot for 30 years. Jonathan's been telling us about his plans for the company, my father said, cutting into his steak. Very impressive vision, very modern. Oh? I speared a piece of asparagus. I wasn't aware he had discussed company strategy with you. Well, someone has to, my mother chimed in. You're so busy lately, darling. Barely time for family. Hayden wouldn't meet my eyes, pushing food around her plate. The board's very excited, Jonathan said smoothly. We're thinking of expanding into Asian markets, more aggressive growth. Fascinating. I took a sip of wine, especially since the board hasn't met in 3 weeks. An uncomfortable silence fell. Unofficial discussions? Jonathan recovered quickly. Preliminary talks. My phone buzzed under the table. A text from Fletcher. Documents secured. Transfers complete. You're clear. Speaking of preliminary, I set down my glass. I'd love to hear more about Cadence's promotion. That was quite a jump. Junior marketing associate to director of strategy. Jonathan's fork clattered against his plate. Who? My mother asked. Oh, you haven't met her? I smiled. Jonathan's new protégé. They've been having lots of late-night strategy sessions. Haven't you, dear? This isn't the time, Jonathan started. Actually, it's the perfect time. I stood up. While we're all here, discussing the future of my company like I'm not in the room. Scarlett, my father warned, don't make a scene. A scene? I laughed. Like secretly updating Mum's will to give Jonathan control of her shares? That kind of scene? Hayden's head snapped up. My mother went pale. How dare you? My father began. How dare I what? Notice, pay attention. Did you think I wouldn't find out about the holding company, Hayden, the one funneling company funds? I can explain, Hayden whispered. Don't bother. I dropped my napkin on the table. I already know everything. The late-night board calls, the forged signatures, the backdated contracts, every single betrayal, catalogued and documented. Now wait just a minute. Jonathan stood up, his chair scraping back. You're making accusations. No, I'm stating facts. Facts that the SEC will find very interesting. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Jonathan, those expansion plans you mentioned? Good luck implementing them without IP rights. I transferred everything to a new holding company last week, one you can't touch. You can't do that, he looked panicked now. I already did. I turned to my family. Enjoy your dinner. The show on Monday should be quite entertaining. As I reached the front door, my phone buzzed again. Edmund. They've scheduled the takeover announcement Monday. Perfect. Let them think they had the upper hand. Let them gather in that boardroom, smug and certain, with their PowerPoints and their promises. They thought they were orchestrating my downfall. In reality, they were walking into a trap 12 years in the making. Because while Jonathan was playing office politics, I'd been building safeguards. While my family was plotting behind my back, I'd been documenting every move. They thought they knew what power looked like. They were about to learn what it felt like to face someone who had nothing left to lose. Monday couldn't come fast enough. Sunday night, my office was eerily quiet. Most employees had gone home, but the real work was just beginning. Everything's in place, Fletcher said, spreading documents across my desk. Financial records, surveillance footage, recorded conversations, all legally obtained, all damning. I picked up a particularly thick folder. The board meeting recordings. Every single one, including the unofficial ones Jonathan didn't know about. Fletcher's smile was sharp. Turns out your conference room's AI assistant records everything by default. Fancy that. Fancy that indeed. I'd programmed that default setting myself years ago. Paranoid? Maybe. But paranoia had just saved my company. My phone lit up with a text from Edmund. Cadence is clearing out her office, taking files. Right on schedule, I murmured, sending a quick response. Letter, everything's encrypted. Fletcher raised an eyebrow. You knew she would? People get sloppy when they think they've won. I pulled up the security feed on my laptop. Cadence was stuffing folders into her designer bag, looking over her shoulder every few seconds. They forget who built the system they're trying to steal. A knock at the door made us both jump. It was Marcus, one of the remaining board members I trusted. They approached me last week, he said without preamble, sinking into a chair. Offered me the CFO position if I backed Jonathan tomorrow. And I recorded everything. He pulled out his phone, including the part where they discussed how to force you out using your mother's medical power of attorney. My hands clenched. They what? Your mother signed papers giving Jonathan authority to declare you mentally unfit to run the company. Marcus looked sick. They were planning to use your erratic behaviour as evidence. The rage that swept through me was arctic cold. Using my own mother against me, that was a new low. Add it to the pile, Fletcher said quietly, taking Marcus's phone. We'll need sworn statements. Already prepared. Marcus handed over a sealed envelope. I'm sorry, Scarlett. I had no idea they'd go this far. Neither did I. But then again, I never thought my own sister would help embezzle from me either. My phone buzzed again. A message from Hayden. Can we talk, please, before tomorrow? No, I typed back. We'll talk plenty tomorrow. Fletcher was watching me. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Once we pull the trigger, they're my family, I cut him off. They were supposed to protect me, support me instead. I gestured at the mountain of evidence. They plotted to destroy everything I built. The media will have a field day. Let them. I'd rather be known as the bitch who fought back than the fool who let her family rob her blind. Another knock. Edmund entered, looking grim. Security just caught Cadence trying to access the server room, he reported. She had Jonathan's keycard. Did you get it on camera? Better? Edmund held up his phone, playing a video. Cadence's voice came through clearly. Jonathan said to copy everything before the announcement tomorrow. He needs proof of financial misconduct. I laughed softly. Oh, he'll have proof all right, just not the kind he's looking for. The team's ready, Edmund continued. New security protocols are in place. The moment you give the signal, everyone loses access, he finished, except those on the approved list. Fletcher gathered the documents into his briefcase. Get some rest, Scarlett. Tomorrow's going to be intense. But I wasn't going home. Not to that empty penthouse where Jonathan's betrayal still lingered in every room. Instead, I walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. 12 years ago, I'd started this company in my garage. 12 years of sacrifice, of missed family events, of lending money to relatives who never paid it back. 12 years of being the responsible one, the successful one, the one they all relied on while resenting every second of it. Tomorrow, that all ended. My phone lit up one last time. A message from my father. Don't make us do this the hard way. I smiled at my reflection in the window. They still thought they had the upper hand. Tomorrow they'd learn just how wrong they were. The family ambush came at 7 a.m., just hours before the board meeting. They were waiting in my office lobby, Mother, Father, Hayden, and my older brother Mark, who'd flown in from Chicago. A perfect little intervention. We're worried about you, sweetheart, my mother started, reaching for my arm. I stepped back. Worried about me or worried about your investment? I kept walking toward my office. They followed like a parade of vultures in designer clothes. This hostility, my father said, this paranoia, it's exactly what we're talking about. You're not yourself. I sat behind my desk, studying them. My mother's perfectly coiffed hair, my father's expensive suit, Hayden's guilty eyes, Mark's rehearsed concern. Let's talk about who's not being themselves, I said. Let's talk about secret meetings, unauthorised transfers, and updated wills. You're making accusations without proof, Mark cut in. Always the lawyer. Jonathan's concerned about your mental state. Jonathan's concerned about his girlfriend's promotion. I pulled out a folder. Cadence, right? The one he's been meeting at the Fairmont every Tuesday and Thursday. My mother gasped. Hayden's face went white. You had him followed? My father demanded. No, I had company assets monitored. Assets that were being systematically drained into a holding company. I turned to Hayden. Your holding company. He said it was just temporary, Hayden burst out. A safety measure in case... In case what? In case I caught on? In case I noticed my own family plotting against me? You've always been like this, Mark sneered. So dramatic, so convinced everyone's out to get you. I pulled out my phone, played a recording. Jonathan's voice filled the room. Once we have Hayden's company set up, we can start moving the real assets. Her sister won't notice. She's too busy playing CEO to check the small accounts. Silence fell like a guillotine. There's more, I said quietly. Hours more. Every meeting, every call, every betrayal documented. You don't understand, my mother pleaded. We're trying to protect you. You work too hard. You're always alone. I'm alone because every person I trusted turned out to be a snake. I stood up. Did you really think I wouldn't find out about the medical power of attorney? My father stepped forward. That was a precaution. A precaution? My laugh was bitter. You gave my husband the power to have me declared mentally unfit. My husband, who's been sleeping with an employee and stealing from my company. You need help, Mark insisted. Professional help. Jonathan's willing to handle the transition quietly. Get out. Scarlett, please, Hayden was crying now. We can fix this. Fix what? The theft? The betrayal? Or the fact that my own family thinks I'm too unstable to run the company I built? The company we all sacrificed for, my father shouted. Every family dinner you missed, every holiday you worked through, we supported you. You supported my bank account, I corrected. The loans, the mortgages, the temporary help that never got repaid. Did you think I forgot? A knock at the door. Edmund entered with a security team. It's time, he said softly. Time for what? Mark demanded. The board meeting. I gathered my files. Where I'm apparently being removed from my position. Should be interesting. Scarlett, my mother tried one last time. Don't do anything rash. Rash? I paused at the door. Like conspiring with my cheating husband to steal my company? Like helping him forge documents? Like planning to have me committed? We're your family, Hayden whispered. No, I said. You're shareholders, and after today, you won't be even that. As security escorted them out, an envelope was delivered to my desk. Inside was a copy of my mother's original will with a handwritten note from Jonathan. Last chance to do this quietly. I added it to my evidence folder. In 2 hours, they'd all be in that boardroom, ready to execute their coup. They thought they were coming to witness my downfall. Instead, they were about to watch their own. The boardroom hummed with anticipation. Jonathan sat at the head of the table, my seat with Cadence beside him. My family lined one side, the board members the other. All eyes turned to me as I walked in, Fletcher 2 steps behind. Shall we begin? Jonathan's smile was triumphant. We have a full agenda today. By all means, I remained standing. I believe you have an announcement. He clicked his presentation remote. A slide appeared. Strategic Restructuring Initiative. As you can see, he began. Actually, I cut in, before we continue, there's a small security matter to address. I pressed a button on my phone. Throughout the building, doors clicked locked. Computers froze. Phones lost signal. What's happening? Cadence grabbed her laptop. Standard security protocol, I said smoothly. During suspected corporate espionage attempts. Jonathan's smile faltered. What are you talking about? Edmund? I called out. The doors opened. Edmund entered, followed by 2 security guards and a woman in a suit. This is Agent Roberts from the FBI's White-Collar Crime Division, I announced. She's here about some interesting financial transactions. The colour drained from Hayden's face. This is ridiculous, Jonathan stood up. We're here to discuss your attempt to seize control of my company through fraud, theft, and conspiracy. I opened my folder. Let's discuss that. Fletcher started distributing documents, bank statements, email transcripts, surveillance photos. You can't prove anything, Mark said, but his lawyer's confidence was cracking. Really? I played an audio file through the room's speakers. Jonathan's voice filled the air, discussing with Cadence how to move assets, forge signatures, manipulate the board. That's illegal recording, Jonathan shouted. Actually, Fletcher spoke up, as per company policy, all conference rooms automatically record for security purposes. You signed off on that policy yourself last year. I turned to the board members. You've all been lied to, manipulated with false data and promises of positions you were never going to get. The real numbers are in front of you. They were reading now, faces growing darker with each page. This is a misunderstanding, my father tried. A family matter. Family matters don't usually involve federal fraud charges, Agent Roberts said quietly. Cadence stood up suddenly. I had no idea. Save it, I cut her off. Your email to Jonathan about making it look like embezzlement is on page 12. You can't do this, Jonathan's voice shook. The company belongs entirely to me, I finished. As of 3 weeks ago, all intellectual property, contracts and major assets were legally transferred to a new entity, one that none of you have any claim to. That's impossible, Mark protested. The board would have to approve. Check the bylaws, Fletcher suggested. The ones you apparently didn't read very carefully. Scarlett has always had full transfer authority. It was in the original incorporation documents. I walked to Jonathan's seat, my seat. You should have paid more attention in those early meetings, dear, instead of sleeping with your assistant. Security, Edmund called out. Please escort Miss Cadence from the building. Her employment is terminated, effective immediately. As Cadence was led out sobbing, I turned to my family. As for the rest of you, your shares have been frozen pending the federal investigation. I suggest you lawyer up. You do this to your own family, my mother whispered. You did this, I corrected. Every secret meeting, every betrayal, every attempt to paint me as unstable, you did this. I just gathered the evidence. Jonathan made one last attempt. The medical power of attorney is void, Fletcher interrupted, given under false pretenses and potentially fraudulent circumstances. The DA's office is very interested in that, by the way. I sat down in my chair, feeling its familiar support. This meeting is adjourned. Agent Roberts will need statements from everyone. Edmund, please make sure no one leaves before speaking with the FBI. As they were led out, my family, my husband, the board members who'd betrayed me, I felt no satisfaction, only a hollow vindication and a bone-deep exhaustion. Well, Fletcher said quietly, that's one way to start a Monday. I looked at the empty boardroom, at the scattered papers documenting years of betrayal. No, I replied, that's one way to end one. The aftermath hit like a tsunami. By evening, my office had become a war room, with Fletcher fielding calls from reporters, while Edmund coordinated with IT to lock down our systems. The door burst open. Hayden stormed in, mascara streaking down her face. How could you? She screamed. The FBI? Really? I didn't look up from my laptop. You embezzled company funds. What did you expect? I expected my sister to care more about family than money. She slammed her hands on my desk. They're freezing my accounts. Should have thought about that before setting up an illegal holding company. Jonathan said it was legal. He said a lot of things. I finally met her eyes, like how he'd make you CFO once I was gone. Tell me, did you actually believe that? Her silence was answer enough. You know what hurts the most. I stood up. Not the theft, not even the betrayal. It's that my own sister thought I was too stupid to notice. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Explain why my family decided I didn't deserve the company I built. Because you left us behind, she exploded. Every success, every milestone, you just kept climbing while we watched from the ground. Do you know how that feels? You mean the ground I paid for? The house I saved from foreclosure? The college tuition I covered? We didn't want your charity. No, I said quietly. You wanted everything else instead. A commotion outside drew our attention. Our parents burst in, followed by security trying to stop them. It's fine, I waved the guards off. Let's get this over with. Your brother's being questioned by the FBI. My mother's voice shook with rage. Your own brother? My own brother who helped draft fraudulent documents? I pulled up an email chain on my screen. Would you like to see his billing records for that? You've destroyed this family, my father declared. I built this family. The words exploded out of me. Every crisis, every emergency. Who did you call? Who wrote the checks? Who sacrificed everything while you all took and took and took? We gave you everything, he shouted back. You gave me nothing but guilt and obligations, and when that wasn't enough, you tried to have me declared mentally unfit. My mother stepped forward. We were worried about you. You were worried about your lifestyle. I pulled out the modified will. This isn't worry. This is premeditated fraud. The company was destroying you, she insisted. We could see it. The only thing destroying me was watching my family plot behind my back. I threw the will at them. Did you even hesitate before signing this? Did you think about what it would do to me? Hayden was crying again. We can fix this. There is no fixing this. I pressed my intercom. Security, please escort them out. They're no longer authorized to enter the building. Scarlett, my father's voice turned threatening, if you do this, you'll what? Try to steal my company again? Have me committed? Forge more documents? As security arrived, my mother made one last attempt. We're still your family. No. I turned back to my work. You're just people I used to trust. After they were gone, Fletcher appeared with a tablet. Cadence is posting on social media, claims you're having a mental breakdown, that Jonathan was trying to save the company. Of course she is. I took the tablet, reading quickly. Let her. The FBI will be very interested in her social media activity. The press is calling. Let them call. I looked out at the city skyline, at the empire I'd built and nearly lost. They want a story? I'll give them one. But first, I pulled up my banking app and cancelled every automatic payment to my family members. Mortgage payments, car loans, credit card bills, all of it, gone with a few taps. You sure about this? Fletcher asked softly. My phone buzzed with another angry text from Hayden. You've ruined everything. They wanted to play hardball, I replied, deleting the message. Time they learned how it feels to stand on their own. Outside my office, I could hear the buzz of reporters gathering. Tomorrow, the real storm would hit. But for now, in this moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. The headlines were brutal. Tech CEO's family feud explodes. Corporate coup attempt foiled. Family claims unstable CEO weaponized FBI. They're calling you the Dragon Lady of Silicon Sound, Edmund said, dropping the morning papers on my desk. Cadence's social media campaign is gaining traction. I scrolled through the posts. Each one painted me as an unstable tyrant, Jonathan as a concerned husband trying to save both me and the company. The comments were vicious. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Ms. Jordan, a woman's voice. Sarah Martinez from the Seattle Times. We're running a piece on the situation at your company. No comment. I started to hang up. Actually, she continued quickly, we've uncovered some interesting financial records about your family's spending habits and some questionable board decisions before your husband joined the company. I paused. Go on. I'd like to offer you the chance to tell your side, the real story. Fletcher, who'd been listening, nodded slowly. Come to my office, I said. Bring your evidence. 2 hours later, Sarah sat across from me, recorder running. Let's start with the basics, she said. How does a family try to steal $1 billion company? One betrayal at a time. I leaned forward. But first, let me show you something. I pulled out my family's financial records, credit card statements, loan documents, money transfers, a decade of fiscal irresponsibility with me as their personal ATM. Last year alone, I pointed to a figure. I paid out over $2 million to various family members, house payments, medical bills, failed business ventures, all while they plotted with my husband to declare me mentally unfit. Sarah's eyes widened at the documents. And they never paid any of it back. They didn't think they had to. Family obligation, they called it. What changed? I did. I handed her the surveillance photos, the email chains, the recorded meetings. When I discovered they were working with my husband to steal my company, I realised something. Enabling them had only fed their entitlement. Her pen flew across her notepad. Your husband claims he was trying to protect the company from erratic behaviour. By sleeping with an employee and embezzling funds? I played her the recordings. By conspiring with my sister to set up illegal holding companies. 3 hours later, Sarah had her story. Not the sensational family drama they'd tried to spin, but the real one. A systematic attempt to steal a company through fraud, manipulation, and familial betrayal. One last question, she said, packing up. Do you regret going public, involving the FBI? I regret trusting people who saw me as nothing but a bank account. I stood up. The rest? That's just business. The article dropped the next morning. Silicon Sound's Hidden War, the true story of corporate betrayal. Every accusation backed by evidence, every claim supported by documentation. The public response was immediate. Social media exploded, but this time in my favour. Cadence's posts were flooded with questions about her role in the fraud. Jonathan's carefully crafted image crumbled under the weight of facts. "Your mother's on line 1, my assistant called. "Take a message. And your father's in the lobby. Security knows what to do." My phone buzzed. A text from Hayden. "The bank is foreclosing on my house. Please, I'm begging you." I blocked her number. Fletcher appeared with more papers. The SEC is officially investigating Jonathan and Cadence. They're focusing on the unauthorised transfers and forged documents. Good. I signed the papers without hesitation. What about the board? 3 resignations this morning. The rest are falling in line. Outside my window, a crowd of reporters still camped on the sidewalk. But now they were telling a different story. Not about a tyrannical CEO, but about a woman who fought back against those who tried to destroy her. Was it worth it? Fletcher asked quietly. Losing your family? I looked at the empire I'd built, the one they'd tried to steal. Thought about the years of manipulation, the constant demands, the betrayal that had been building long before Jonathan made his move. I didn't lose them, I replied. I just finally saw them clearly. My phone buzzed again. Edmund. Board meeting in 10. Time to rebuild. I smiled. Rebuilding I could do. I'd done it before, after all. Only this time I'd do it without the dead weight of toxic family ties. The key felt heavy in my hand as I stood before my childhood home. The bank's foreclosure notice hung on the door, my parents' final legacy. They'd taken out a second mortgage without telling me, certain I'd swoop in to save them one last time. I hadn't. "You don't have to do this," Fletcher said beside me. "We could let the bank handle it." "No," I inserted the key. "I need to see it through." Inside, the house was a museum of manipulation. Photos on the walls, forced smiles at family gatherings, everyone pretending we were perfect. My old room converted to storage for Hayden's failed business ventures, all funded by me. My phone buzzed. Edmund. SEC just announced formal charges against Jonathan and Cadence, fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Another buzz. A news alert. Tech CEO's ex-husband faces federal indictment. Your father's car is still in the garage, Fletcher noted, peering through a door, along with everything else they couldn't bear to part with. I opened the garage door. Luxury cars, designer furniture, artwork, all purchased with my money, all now being seized as evidence. A noise from upstairs made us both turn. "Hello?" A familiar voice. "Is someone there?" Hayden appeared at the top of the stairs, looking haunted. She'd lost weight, her designer clothes replaced by worn jeans and a faded sweater. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I bought the house at auction." I met her eyes. "What are you doing here?" She swallowed. "I needed to get some things before it's all gone." "It's already gone." I gestured around us. Everything bought with stolen money is evidence now. She descended the stairs slowly. "Mark took a plea deal yesterday. He's testifying against Jonathan." Smart of him, always was the pragmatic one. "Mum and Dad are staying with cousins in Florida." She reached the bottom step. "They wanted me to ask—" "No. You don't even know what—" "The answer is no. No more money, no more bailouts, no more enabling." She started crying, but these tears were different from her previous performances. Quieter, real. "I didn't think it would go this far," she whispered. "Jonathan said nobody would get hurt." "Somebody always gets hurt, Hayden. You just didn't care as long as it wasn't you." My phone buzzed again. A video link from Edmund. Security footage from my office building. Jonathan being escorted out in handcuffs. Cadence following shortly after. Mascara streaking her face. "They're saying 10 years, Hayden said. For Jonathan, maybe more. Actions have consequences." I walked to the living room window, looked out at the garden our mother had once tended. Something this family never understood. "What happens now?" "Now?" I turned back to her. "Now you all get to experience what real work feels like, what earning your own way means. And you? Will you ever forgive?" "Don't." I held up a hand. "Don't ask for forgiveness when you're still hoping for a handout." Fletcher cleared his throat. "The moving trucks will be here soon, for the evidence collection." I nodded, taking one last look around. This house had been a prison of obligation, disguised as family loyalty. Every room held memories of guilt trips, of emotional manipulation, of demands wrapped in "but we're family" rhetoric. "You should go," I told Hayden. "The FBI will want to inventory everything." She headed for the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry, not for getting caught, but for betraying you, for being so entitled that I helped hurt the only person who ever really helped me." It was the first honest thing she'd said in years. "Goodbye, Hayden." After she left, Fletcher touched my arm. "Ready?" I pulled out my phone, opened my photos, found the last family picture we'd taken before it all imploded, deleted it. "You know what the funny thing is," I said, walking out of the house for the final time. "They thought taking my company would break me, but trying to take it?" I locked the door. That finally set me free. In my pocket, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from Edmund. "New quarter projections are in. We're up 40%. Turns out removing dead weight is good for business." I smiled, dropping the house keys in an evidence bag. Time to go build something new, something untainted by the past, something just for me.